Yo, history fam, what's up? Ever wondered what went down with Germany's infamous U-boats after World War II? Like, did they just vanish, get turned into museums? Well, buckle up, because we're about to do a deep dive into one of the wildest post-war stories you've never heard. So, picture this. It's 1945. The war in Europe is over, and Germany has to surrender its entire navy. This included around 156 U-boats that were still kicking. The Allies, that's the UK, the US, and the Soviet Union looked at this fleet of high-tech sea wolves and were like, okay, we absolutely cannot let these fall into the wrong hands or start another problem. These weren't just regular subs. They were the apex predators of the Atlantic, packed with cutting-edge tech for the time. The thought of them getting loose was a big yikes. So, what's the plan? The initial idea was simple: get rid of them. This led to one of the most epic and kinda sad naval operations ever, Operation Deadlight. The British Royal Navy took the lead on this one. They rounded up most of the surrendered U-boats, over 100 of them, and towed them out to the deep waters off the coast of Scotland and Ireland. The name Deadlight is super fitting, because their goal was to literally send these metal sharks to a watery grave. But here's where it gets wild. Sinking a submarine ain't as easy as you'd think. These things are designed to, not sink. The British tried everything. They used naval gunfire. They dropped bombs from planes. They even tried to scuttle them by opening their hatches. Some U-boats were stubborn and just refused to go down. There are crazy stories of subs breaking their tow lines in bad weather and drifting around like ghost ships. One even washed ashore in Scotland, giving the locals a massive surprise. Eventually, though, after weeks of effort, they managed to sink about 116 of them. They now lie on the ocean floor, a massive, silent graveyard of steel. But wait, not all of them ended up at the bottom of the ocean. The Allies were also total tech nerds. They knew the Germans had some seriously advanced submarine designs, like the Type 21 Electro Boot. This thing was a game changer. It could stay underwater way longer and was much faster than any Allied sub. It was basically the blueprint for all modern submarines. So, the Allies were like, we gotta get a piece of this action. Before Operation Deadlight kicked off, the top Allied powers cherry-picked about 30 of the most advanced U-boats for themselves. It was like a post-war tech grab. The US, the UK, the Soviet Union, and even France each took a few to study. They took them apart piece by piece, reverse-engineered the technology, and ran all sorts of tests. This was a huge deal. The tech they captured, especially from the Type 21, directly influenced their own submarine designs for decades to come. It literally shaped the naval landscape of the Cold War. Think about it. Soviet subs that would later face off against American ones in tense underwater standoffs. Many of them had DNA that traced right back to these captured German U-boats. For example, the Soviet Whiskey-class submarine was heavily inspired by the Type 21. The US Navy also learned a ton, improving their own fleet's capabilities. It's a classic case of one war's tech becoming the foundation for the next generation of conflict. So, to recap the distribution, the Soviets got their hands on several key models, which they were super keen on. The British and Americans also took their share for intense study. France, rebuilding its navy, also acquired a few. It wasn't an even split at all. It was more about who could grab what and who had the resources to study them. And what about the rest? A very small number of U-boats had a different fate. A few were just broken down for scrap metal. War is expensive, and steel was a valuable resource. A couple of others were lucky enough to be preserved as museum ships. The U-505, for instance, was famously captured during the war by the US Navy. It wasn't part of the surrender fleet, but its story is incredible. Today, you can go see it at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. It's a literal time capsule. Another one, the U-995, is on display in Germany as a memorial. These are super rare survivors, giving us a direct look into the cramped, dangerous world of a U-boat crew. So, to sum it all up, the vast majority of Germany's surrendered U-boats were intentionally sunk in Operation Deadlight. A handful of the most advanced ones were captured and studied by the Allies, becoming the secret sauce for their own Cold War submarine programs, and a tiny, lucky fraction were either scrapped or became museum pieces. It's a crazy story, right? From feared predators of the deep to being systematically destroyed, studied for their secrets, or put on display. The fate of the U-boats is a perfect snapshot of the end of one era and the beginning of a new, tense technological arms race. It shows that even after the fighting stops, the story of war is far from over. Thanks for tuning in for this deep dive. If you're a history nerd like me and enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories you didn't learn in class. Let me know in the comments what other historical mysteries you want me to uncover. Catch you in the next one.